Hi everyone. In this video, I am going to explain the changes I made for this overpay. The original is this one. At the end of this segment, you will find a time-lapse video of the process itself, but here I am just going to explain things, okay? So in the original, the first or one of the first issues I noticed is that the eye that was near to us, that I was falling into the corner between the front plane and the lateral plane. Okay, by that I mean that you have to restrict your feeders so they fall into either the side planes, the lateral planes, or the front plane. The eyes, obviously, they have to be restricted to that front plane. So that's one of the reasons why I insist that you have to angularize your skull. It's one of the very first things you have to do in order to do a proper placement of those feeders. For example, here in the overpay, if I try to define those planes, you will notice that there is a very angular sense. I just did this line so you can see it easy. So everything here is front, everything here is top, everything here is on the side, and it matches. If I remove this, that sense of angularization is still there. Okay, I only did this to make it easier, make it more apparent. But if I take that and try to apply it to the original, the problem is that, as I mentioned, the eye is not restricted to that front plane. It is falling almost in the corner or exactly in the corner, and your angularization is not as strong as in the overpay. So try to keep that in mind. That's going to help you to place the hair because here in the original, uh, because the angularization was not properly blocked in from the start, the hair is like it's not following that topology. If I go back to the to the overpay, you will notice that the topology of that top plane is more closely followed here. Okay. So as you can see, I already give you two examples, two cases in which that step is going to make things much more easier. It's going to help you avoid issues with your faces. Okay, let's move to something else. This one is something that I noticed from the start too, is the bridge of the nose. Okay, the bridge of the nose is relative as any other feeder, but it's very sensitive to the change of angle of the head. What I mean by this, and let me bring this layer here with these 3D models, is that in 2D space, that bridge, if the tilt, the tilt is towards the bottom, what I mean is that the head is tilting down, that bridge is going to be very long. Okay, let me pick something more contrasty. Okay, so compare that to the space with the one at the top. This one at the bottom, as you can see, is almost a match. It's not 100%, but it's very closely to the piece of my Patreon. And if we bring that length of that bridge to the one at the top, you're going to see a very different length into the space. Okay, so that's a notion you have to get acquainted to develop an instinctive sense of how to fix your issues. Okay, so in the future, try to keep that in mind when the head is tilting down from the point of view of the viewer, and especially here because the camera is also looking at these heads from the top, the bridge of the nose is going to be very long. Contrary to this case, when the head is tilting up, the bridge is going to be foreshortened. Okay, so the 2D space lengths in both cases are going to be very different. By the way, these models are from app called Handy. This app is a very useful tool. You are going to find it in the iOS and the Play Store. And for a quick reference, for a quick sense of location, is very good. Okay, so let's move to something else now. Um, Another thing that you have to keep in mind is that since you are trying to create the illusion of space, you have to be aware of your convergence. Okay. For example, if I were to take the contours of the size of the overpaint, you are going to see a very notable, a very apparent sense of convergence. Okay. The part that is near to us is opening wide, and the part that is getting away from us is converging towards a vanishing point at the bottom. Okay. If I change to the original, the problem is that those lines are not going to match, and also if I were to do the same, they are almost parallel. Okay, you can see that those lines don't match, but the problem is that they don't converge in space at some point, and that's going to compromise your sense of space. Okay, so always try to force that sense of convergence. Okay. Okay, let's move to something a bit more specific, and this one is with the eyes. As you can see, I try to preserve some of the style. The problem is that the few indicators of light direction tell me that sorry, the light is coming from the top right. Okay, so based on that, I am going to show you how I try to fix the issue. Um, and this is something I have explained in the past, but let me try to do it again because it's very important to reinforce concepts. So the eyeball, if you were to simplify, is just a sphere, okay? Inside that sphere, you have that pupil and that iris. So in the case of the this pair, the pupil and the iris, I like to think about them as a plate, a food plate. Okay, the pupil is going to be the bottom of the plate, and the iris is going to be the main body of the plate. Okay, and you know the plate is concave. Okay, that bottom area is going to be deeper than the area that surrounds it. So what I am explaining all this is because when the light enters, it enters on the sphere first. Okay, as you can see here. Oh, let me do this, the same eye or close to the same eye again to make it in my case a bit more apparent. Okay, so it enters the sphere. It creates the strongest highlight that is going to be on the eye. That highlight I use blocked in is going to be almost pure white. It's going to be very sharp, and when it passes the sphere, it's going to fall into the far side of the plate. That means that since the plate is concave, this side that's near the highlight, the main highlight, is going to be in shadows. Okay? And if you follow the light direction, that means that the light is going to fall in the far side of the footplate. So as you can see, that's the pattern that you see here, the same pattern. Obviously, I added the drop shadow of the eyelid. That is very important too. Here, I tried to remove it because it's easier to see. But I hope it's very apparent. No, I could be more succinct, and more concise, but I am also learning how to explain my train of thoughts in these videos. Okay, so I hope it was clear enough. So that's more or less what I wanted to say. Those were the most basic points. Another minor one, and this one is closely related to the previous, the light direction, is that the shapes have to reflect that light direction too. For example, here you are seeing the drop shadow of the head falling into the neck. That's very important because drop shadows is what gives presence, what gives weight to the objects that originates them. Okay, and also I tried with my shadow shapes that at least there has to be an end of that shape that is pointy. You can see here, here, here. Okay, you get the idea. It's a personal preference. I feel that reinforces extremely well, and it's a very efficient way to block in shadow shapes. I almost forgot. This is very important. Um, in the original, you see the neck. Okay, you have to be very careful on these angles because the neck attaches behind the ear, as you can see here. That's okay. Although I will say that the ear is very close to it's too close to the eye. You can see that it's farther apart here. Okay, the issue with the neck is that the other side, the far side, does not attach to the other ear. If I were to follow that far line on the original, that line is going to meet the medial line of the skull is not going to attach to the other side. The same happens here, of course. So that's why the into the space in the overpay, the neck looks wider because I need to reach that same point. Okay, I need to reach that ear. If you have issues trying to find that placement, is not going to be precise. It's not going to be exact. But you can do a cylinder that matches the x-axis of the head. And if I do that cylinder, I get a very close idea where that other ear is going to fall. And that's going to allow me to find the far side of the neck or how wide into the space the neck is going to be. Okay? You can see that there. So, yeah, that's more or less what I wanted to say about this overpay. And if you are interested in receiving a review of your art, I have this service on my Patreon. It's the critic tier. You receive 4 reviews per month. Each review, as you can see, comes with the overpay itself, the notes, and the time-lapse video that is going to be attached at the end of this segment. You see me sharing some reviews, but I always ask for permission, obviously, from the original Patreon, sorry, original artist. I ask when the review is a good example, based on fundamental, based on specific cases. In this case, this video is going to be shared both on my Patreon and YouTube because it's safe for work. That's another criteria I use to ask. And you are not obliged. You are not. You should not be feel forced to allow me to share the review. But if you allow me to share your review, you're going to receive these kind of videos and a voice-over explanation that goes more in depth, and that's an extra for allowing me to share the review. And as I mentioned, it's used in some specific cases. Okay, so don't worry. I am not going to share your reviews without asking first. That's what I wanted to say. That tier, the critic tier, besides the critics, the four critics per month, also has access to all my rewards. I post very frequently there. I post like 3 to 4 times on my Patreon. I try to put a lot of effort because I really like the model, and I hope you see the value in this kind of service. If you are not interested in the critiques, I invite you to consider the torture tier that is cheaper. You have access to all my process videos, all my notes. By the way, these are the notes. I not only annotate the reviews, I annotate my own work. I record the process video on my own work too. And it has a lot of other exclusives that are not present in social media. The Patreon is patreon.com/Fibres. It's going to be in the description. And that's about it for this video. I hope it was useful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Bye.